Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order follows the story of Cal Kestis, a former Jedi Padawan now in hiding on the planet of Baraka.
This story takes place for not 14 years. Story takes place in the year 14 BBY. 5 years after, is that right? 5 years after the end of the Clone Wars. Okay. Timeline
F-
seems a little bit,
5 years after Order 66.
yeah,
Yeah,
which makes sense. Never mind, because that would all take place in around 1920 BBY, somewhere in there,
yep,
because of the events of New
yep.
Hope. We're on
Any,
track now. We're good.
anyway, so yes, takes place in 14 BBY, 5 years after Order 66. As I mentioned before, Cal is in hiding on the scrap planet of Baraka until a series of events happen and unfold where it's revealed that he is a Jedi, and the Inquisitors, the Imperial Inquisitorius, starts hunting him down because they're obviously hunting down Jedi. So he has to flee.
Hmm.
He joins with the crew of the Mantis, which is Cere, a former Jedi, and Greez, who's the pilot of the ship. Anyway, they're on a mission to find this, or Cere is on a mission to find this Jedi holocron that has a list of Force-sensitive children from across the galaxy. It's locked inside of this ancient temple, ancient Jedi temple that the um is it the Zepho?
Zepho.
The Zepho had built. Yes.
Hmm.
So Cere's former master, Cordova, or was he her master, or was he just a Jedi master?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
He was a former master.
Okay. So the Jedi Master Cordova had done a lot of research into the Zepho, and he was the one who found this temple on the planet Bogano. And so the story follows Cal, Cere, and Greez as they travel from planet to planet to try to find clues on how to unlock this temple to get access to the holocron.
All in all, as far as talking about this story and the way it unfolds, it's a video game, so like a lot of it is like it's a
It's a Metroidvania 3D platformer with Souls combat.
yeah. So obviously, like, when a lot of the story revolves around puzzles, because, like, like I said, it has, there is the combat aspect of it, but the main focus of a lot of it is solving puzzles. And so when that's the case, your main objective is to find clues at each one of the temples you go to. The three main worlds. You go to Zepho, you go to Kashyyyk, and you also go to Dathomir.
So
Okay.
the first planet that the you go to in the story is Zepho. Obviously, like I said, that's the home planet of the Zepho, the people who built this temple on Pagano, and they actually built the temples on all the planets that that you go to. And so after you go to Zepho, you get to the temple on Zepho, and so when you were on Pagano, you found a droid that belonged to Cordova, and he has a bunch of holograms in his memory bank, but he can't access them until he's in a specific place.
Mhm.
So you have to go to all these places where the holograms were recorded. So once you get there, the hologram of Cordova tells you to find or to go to Kashyyyk and find Tarful. You may remember Tarful from Revenge of the Sith. He was the Wookiee that was up there with Yoda during Order 66. Helped Yoda get off of Kashyyyk.
Mhm.
So Cal, Cere, and Greez go to Kashyyyk, where they end up coming across Saw Gerrera and his men.
On Kashyyyk, you team up with Saw Gerrera and his group, a group of freedom fighters, to liberate the Wookiees. Um, and you can't find Tarful while you're there, even though that's why you're there the first time. Hey guys, Future Wesley editing this video, jumping in real quick. So
while talking about this game, we did skip over a slight important part of the story. So after Kashyyyk, you go back to Zepho because while you didn't find Tarful on Kashyyyk, you hear that the Empire has discovered another tomb on Zepho. So that's kind of important to the progression of the story, and so you go back to Zepho to investigate that. Now, while you're on Zepho, a lot of exposition is given about the relationship between Trilla and Cere. And after that, you get captured by the bounty hunter, which we talk about here.
And so you're stuck. Cal is stuck in a gladiator style arena to pay off Greez's debts, and you have to
Hmm.
fight your way through the gladiator arena before Greez and Cere rescue you. Then I think after that, then we go back to Kashyyyk.
Yes, you go back to Kashyyyk because you get a transmission saying that Tarful is ready to meet, and that's when you go to the origin tree after meeting Tarful.
Mm.
So at the top of the um, origin tree, once Cal gets there, BD1 uh, plays a recording where Cordova tells him that the atrium that they're looking for can be found on Dathomir. So he heads over to Dathomir to retrieve this atrium.
Okay, so after you go to Dathomir for the first time, you're introduced to Marin relatively early on. Marin is the last of the Night Sisters, and she mistakenly believes that the Jedi are responsible for the deaths of all the other Night Sisters. So obviously, she's not too happy to come across a Jedi on her homeworld.
Mhm. So after fending off all of the Night Brothers and reanimated Night Sisters, you make your way to the temple, but you can't get in. So you sit and meditate for a second, and during that meditation, you have a flashback to Order 66.
And here it's revealed that Cal has almost survivor's guilt. He feels responsible for the death of his master.
Yeah, like you said, um, Cal feels survivor's guilt. So he in this flashback, um, he kind of faces his master, and um, he fights his master uh, in this scene, and in the process of that, his lightsaber gets broken and his kyber crystal is broken, so he no longer has a lightsaber. So with that, he flees Dathomir. On his way out, he encounters Malicos again. He has to flee Marin, who is attacking him because he's a Jedi. So they leave
So,
and go to Ilum,
yeah,
where
Cal
he
has to go to Ilum to get a new kyber crystal. So Ilum is the place where the Jedi Order went to go harvest kyber. It's a giant planet that's full of kyber. But the only problem is the Empire has taken over Ilum. So Cal has to not only face the treacherous tundra of the surface of Ilum, he also has to fend off Imperials at the same time.
so he goes into the cave, um, where the Jedi would go to get the kyber crystals, and he sees the one that's calling out to him. So for those of you who don't know, uh, in Star Wars, kyber crystals are very similar to like you could probably say very similar to like wands in Harry Potter. You don't choose your kyber crystal. You don't choose the color lightsaber that you have. That is all determined by the Force. So like the kyber crystal calls to you. You go and just pick one out. So it's a journey when Padawans go to pick their kyber crystals because they can't just walk into the cave, pick the first one they see, and go. They have to go and sense out and find the one that is meant for them. And so that's what he does here. And so he finally gets to it, and once he grabs it, it breaks. Kind of disappointing. Cal's having a real rough day at this point.
To this point where he actually uses the split kyber crystal in his new lightsaber. So he puts the two halves in line. So Cal had already had a double-bladed lightsaber at this point, but this new lightsaber he builds, he's able to split in half and use dual wielded because it has essentially it's one kyber crystal split in half. So he essentially has two kyber crystals in his lightsaber. So after Cal gets his new kyber crystal, he makes his way back to Dathomir, where he confronts his guilt for letting his master die. He obviously didn't let his master die, but that's the way he feels. And is able to enter the temple. But it's here where he comes face to face with Malicos and has to fight him.
Which, despite the fact that while I was in this fight, I felt like I was doing really, really good, Marin has to step in and save you, and she basically buries him alive, just completely shoves him into the ground. He's still talking. He's buried at the center of Dathomir.
Now that Cal's in the temple, he gets the atrium and makes his way back to Bogano to unlock the temple to get the holocron.
He does see a vision of a possibility of the future. And this future is not looking too good. Now, this future is where he gets the holocron and where he gets the names of lists of Force sensitives across the universe and where he takes them in and starts training them. But it doesn't end well. Because as we all know, anyone who watches Star Wars or knows anything about Star Wars, after the Empire takes over, after Order 66, Vader and the Inquisitors, their job was to hunt down and kill Jedi. And the same fate comes to Cal. I keep calling him that. To Cal and his Padawans, I guess, at that point. And so essentially what ends up happening in his vision is I think he becomes an Inquisitor, and basically all the Force sensitives either I probably end up turning or die. One of the two. So not a great future. And it kind of puts Cal into a sense of, is this really the right thing to do?
Once Cal unlocks the temple and actually gets the holocron, it's revealed that the second sister has followed him. And she's there. She takes the holocron back to the Fortress Inquisitorius. So Cal, Cere, and Greez are stuck on Bogano with no holocron and not much hope. Now, Cal, Cere, and Greez have to make a plan to infiltrate the Fortress Inquisitorius and get the holocron back, because the Empire has it. If they, if they keep it, they're either going to turn all of those Force sensitives to the dark side or kill them.
Cal makes his way through the fortress, finally getting to where the holocron is stashed, and he confronts the second sister again.
So yeah, Cal and second sister end up fighting. Cere shows up and tries to bring Trilla back to the light. It starts to work a little bit, but then Vader shows up, throws Cere off a cliff.
You hear that iconic. You hear that iconic breathing.
Yeah.
And then lightsaber through the chest.
Yeah, throws Cere off a cliff and kills Trilla. So Cal has to run. Cal is running through the Fortress Inquisitorius and finally gets to the elevator to get away from Vader. So once they get into this tunnel, Cere attempts to sacrifice herself to save Cal from Vader, but Cal ends up breaking the tube around them. They're in a tube underwater. And he's able to save Cere and get back to the mantis. Once they're back in safety, they have the holocron back in safety, and Cal makes the executive decision to destroy the holocron so that it cannot be used for any kind of evil, to keep all the Force sensitives safe.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I know that wasn't the smoothest or the best recap of Jedi Fallen Order, but if you in any way liked that video, or like any of the content that we make, go check out our podcast that comes out every single Monday. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and really any place you listen to podcasts. Until then, leave a like, comment down below if you've played Jedi Fallen Order and your thoughts on the game, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this.